Hello, everyone. Welcome into our ESPN FC studios for the latest edition of the show. I'm Alexis Nunes, back with you alongside Stevie, Nicol, and Ale Moreno. We're going to get to that big Conference League final in just a bit. But first and foremost, we have to start off with some important transfer news that was officially confirmed today. Barcelona and Newcastle have reached an agreement for Anthony Gordon. We're hearing it is about 80 million euros. So the fee is 70 million and then 10 million add-on. So let's welcome in the rest of our crew, shall we? We've got Nedum Onuoha and our Gemma Soler. If you need to know anything Barcelona, then we have to go to our Gemma. So Gemma, let me start with you now, because earlier this week, Bayern Munich president Uli Hoeneß kind of joked that Barcelona have no money. But this looks like some money to me. So tell me, how did this deal happen?
Yes, Alexis. So, you know, when you are broke for 4 years and then suddenly they tell you you will receive a big paycheck, and then the first thing you do, you go to the shopping mall and spend it, and this big check lasts a couple of days. Well, this is what's happening in Barcelona, because for the first time since 2021, they have reached an agreement with La Liga, so they know they will be able to go back to the one-on-one rule, so they will be able to sign. I can understand Bayern words, because let's remember last summer, Barca tried to push for Luis Diaz, and Uli Hoeneß, I think he's still laughing of that try operation of Barcelona. But now this summer, Barcelona are back. Eventually, with the departure of Lewandowski, they are back to the financial. They balance the books so they can sign. It's true that it's shocking for us. We knew they were pursuing two signings in England. Yesterday, Deco, Bojan Kirkic, they were in London. They had some meetings. We also knew Hansi Flick was very keen on Anthony Gordon. He was very impressed for that round of 16 of the Champions League. They like the versatility of this forward, the fact that he's got high intensity, and they really think that he can really adapt to the system. And especially, they think it can be very useful for the Champions League games, that for the way the rivals play Barcelona in the Champions League, this kind of forward can be a really good fit. So it's so rushed, everything, that we are expecting Gordon tomorrow in Barcelona. So he will do the medical test tomorrow, and if everything goes well, Barcelona will sign him for 70 million euros plus 10 on bonus. These bonus are if he starts more than 60% of the games, and also if they win big titles.
Nedum, how highly do you rate Anthony Gordon?
Honestly, this is a good question, just because I'm kind of mixed on it, to be honest. Because I appreciate that he's a good player. I appreciate the fact that in a couple of weeks' time he could be starting for England at the World Cup. But the fee itself just still feels quite high, especially given the fact that, I don't know, in the Premier League, I've not seen many teams who finished above Newcastle, you know, essentially fighting for his signature and presenting that money as well. So I think he is a good player, a very good player, you could say. But in terms of him going to Barcelona, personally, I didn't see it. I thought I was probably going to see another season for him at Newcastle once the Bayern thing disappeared. So I do really rate him. I really do. I think his energy, his hard work, some of his quality, the goals that he scored in the Champions League, you know, that's made for like a good season for him personally. But he didn't feel like a difference maker for Newcastle this season. So I sort of wonder in some ways how he could end up being a difference maker for Barcelona, and, you know, previously with Bayern Munich as well. But, you know, the scouts and the people that look at the talent of these players sometimes look beyond what we see. So yeah, I do rate him. But I don't know, 80 million euros in total, it feels like a lot for what the output could be for a player who is good. But I just don't think he's, you know, top tier in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely a big step up, with all due respect to Newcastle, but for playing for Barcelona and that crest, Ale, is a different kettle of fish. So do you feel he can be a difference maker?
Well, let me just say, if we're going to go down the path of Gemma's analogy about you have just come up money when you've been broke for the last few years, and now you go on a shopping spree, usually when you do go on that shopping spree, you make some questionable decisions. This is a questionable decision by Barcelona. Now, we have spent the last few weeks talking about, since Lewandowski is leaving Barcelona, and Barcelona now is in pursuit of a center forward, could they make the finances work so that they could go after Julian Alvarez? And the big question was indeed, well, where is Barcelona going to get the money from? And some, and I would be in that group, were suggesting, listen, if you can make it work, go ahead and chase it. But if you don't force it. But now you go and spend this money not for Julian Alvarez, but for Anthony Gordon. And I don't have anything against Anthony Gordon, but what I would say is that even when Marcus Rashford was healthy, fit, and ready to play last season, there were moments in which Hansi Flick made the decision to leave him on the bench and played with guys like Fermin Lopez on the left-hand side, who would tuck inside and leave the left side open initially to Alejandro Valde and then later on to Joao Cancelo. So structurally speaking, tactically speaking, Hansi Flick himself made the decision that sometimes he didn't even want to play with a left winger type player. Let's just assume that Marcus Rashford sticks around Barcelona. Let's assume that that's the case. It may not be. And this news certainly wouldn't seem to make sense to keep both Marcus Rashford and now with the acquisition of Anthony Gordon. But let's assume that both of them are at Barcelona come next season. In my estimation, neither one of them starts. Neither one of them actually would be first choice starter for this team if everybody's healthy. Just think about it. Lamine Yamal will play on the right-hand side. As of right now, the center forward would be Ferran Torres. On the left-hand side, it could be Rafinha, it could be Fermin Lopez. And if it is Fermin Lopez, then Rafinha plays underneath, and they would interchange positions. And neither one of these guys, not Marcus Rashford and not Anthony Gordon, would play ahead of Rafinha, or would play ahead in the structure that I just mentioned, would play ahead of Fermin Lopez. So, again, seems like a questionable decision for a player that seems to be more about squad depth than he does about being a difference maker right away.
Yeah, Gemma, just to go back to you, because Ale brings up an interesting point. During our La Liga coverage all season, we have flirted with the idea of Julian Alvarez going to Barcelona, everyone agreeing that this would be a brilliant fit. We know he already has La Liga experience as well. So given the fact that Barcelona have spent this money on Anthony Gordon, does this mean that they can no longer go after someone like Julian Alvarez?
So the obsession for Hansi Flick was a left winger. This could be Anthony Gordon, but before that, a number 9. He has decided he doesn't need, he can not have reinforcements in the back if no one leaves, because he trusts Gerard Martin and Cubarsí as the center backs. So he wants to spend all the money in this left winger and this number 9. Julian Alvarez is still the pipe dream, and they will try to pursue the signing. But given that they think it's a little bit too far before the World Cup, the only chance for Barcelona, so we still don't know the numbers of Barcelona, but approximately they would have something like 150 million to sign. If they spend 70, 80 with Gordon, this is not enough to sign Julian Alvarez. But what about if an important player leaves? And of course, we know Barchi will leave, but this means no money. But what about something like a Ferran move? Something like this can happen? Well, it could if they have the chance to get what Hansi Flick wants. It's a top number 9.
Stevie, questionable business by Barca?
Yeah, 100%. I'm afraid I'm with the boys. I don't understand why you're spending 80 million on Anthony Gordon. I'm sure Newcastle are happy. I think they paid 50 for him. They're going to make 30 on it as well. They need some money too. I don't understand the whole Rafinha thing. You've got a guy who almost won the Ballon d'Or playing on that left-hand side. So why are you going to move him? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And the fact that you've got Rashford, it would seem that you know the job Rashford can do. Why don't you stick with Rashford? Because, like Ali, is Anthony Gordon going to go straight in this team? I don't think so. So why are you spending 80 million on a guy who we're sitting here going, does he actually start? That makes no sense.
Gemma, why didn't they just stick with having Marcus Rashford? Because now it feels like there's more of an issue.
Yeah, well, when you ask Barcelona, nobody tell you that they are no longer interested. Actually, they say he still has a chance to stay, but definitely it's more complicated now, because if he wasn't a starter, especially until the last month or when Rafinha was injured, it looks more difficult. Barcelona has still some time to notify Man United what he wants to do, that 30 million buy option. They have until the 15th of June. So I think it will depend on how they see the market, but it looks more unlikely that Rashford is staying for one more season.
Can I also say, and this is from the perspective of just the negotiation, in any negotiation, if when you put in an offer the other party right away takes that offer and says, yeah, we'll make this happen. You know you're giving too much. And this happened very quickly. This all developed very quickly. And it seems like Barcelona came out with a number and they're like, are they serious? They're real? Mm-hmm. Oh, all right, sure, take the guy, we'll take the money.
Quick.
Very quick. And the other sort of protagonist in this conversation is Bayern Munich, who were apparently after Anthony Gordon. That had been reported for a while, and they're the ones that went, that's the money that Barcelona is willing to pay? Yeah, that's not worth it for us. We'll walk away. That seems like fiscal responsibility. Whereas what Barcelona is doing right now doesn't seem nearly as much.
Well, Gemma, we obviously, as you can tell, we're having problems trying to picture how Barcelona could line up with their new signing, Anthony Gordon. But we asked you to give us a possible Barca 11 and how they could line up. So just walk us through it.
Yeah, I know the boys in the table will complain about this, but I put it like this. I imagine Ferran in the post-Lewandowski era as a number 9, then Gordon in the left, definitely Lamine on the right. Rafinha, Hansi Flick, he tried so much to put him in this position behind the number 9 as an enganche. It hasn't really worked, but Hansi Flick makes things work sometimes. In that position can be Dani Olmo too. And also Gordon can play as a number 9 and Fermin in that position. Then in the double pivot, I put De Jong because otherwise our producer Pete will kill me, but I could put here Bernal or Gavi too. And I'm not that sure about Koundé. I could see Eric Garcia there, and I'm not sure about the future of Koundé in Barcelona.
All right. Well,
can I just jump on the thing about Anthony Gordon playing centre forward? Now, we did play centre forward for Newcastle quite a lot, but he only scored 6 goals and 2 assists. That's not Barcelona, and that is certainly not 80 million. Nowhere close.
How dare you bring facts into the conversation?
Well, so unfortunately, facts are pretty important.
But now the fact that he's going to have the services of Rafinha and Lamine Yamal, do you not see his game going on the up?
Not at centre forward. No. He's not a centre forward. And so if they have actually brought him in thinking that he can play on the left and then we can also play him through the middle, again, that makes no sense. Because guess what? You've got a guy who has already played on the left for you, who's already played through the middle on the odd occasion, and a guy called Rashford that's going to cost you 50 million less. I mean, it doesn't make any sense every way you look at it. Not to me, anyway.
Nedum, you've been too quiet for my liking, so let me let you in to weigh in on what the guys have been saying, as well as Gemma's potential Barcelona 11. You can say you have an issue with it too.
No, I'm going to support Gemma. I think the team's the team. And it just, like I said, my biggest issue just seems like the amount of money itself. And Stevie's made the point there, which is a point that probably no one ever thought to be making in his last 5-10 years. Buying Marcus Rashford seems like good value. We've found the exact situation where that's the case, because it is literally £50 million cheaper for, as Thomas Tuchel will show you, more or less the identical same player. Marcus Rashford and Gordon are going to be the 2 left wingers for England potentially in a few weeks' time. So if you can get one far cheaper, somebody that was there the year before as well, somebody who feels it, understands it, and has won the league trophy with them already, then it feels like a lot. But who knows? Gordon could score a ton of goals, but then he might also just continue doing what he was doing at Newcastle, and he could end up being almost like a squad player for Barcelona. And at that sort of price, it probably wouldn't seem worth it.
All right. Well, we will put Anthony Gordon to one side because time will tell if this is good business or not.